Good morning. During the 10 years between 2008 and 2018 makes it a decade. And I'm finding the directors who made plays at the Old Town Playhouse in Traverse City, Michigan, and giving them a memory in a video for their family members, children, and especially to them, so they can look back standing on their theater stage. And this time is Director Denni Don Hunting. Good afternoon. Michigan's beloved Mitch Albom, a Detroit Free Press syndicated sports columnist for 24 years, ventured into the theatrical realm with his first comedic play, Duck Hunter Shoots Angel, for its world premiere in 2004 at actor Jeff Daniels and renowned Purple Rose Theater. Although receiving a lukewarm review, it became their highest grossing production, proving to be the sweetest validations. Good morning. I had the opportunity to interview Denni Don Hunting, and she is a fabulous director, and over the years, she has staged wonderful actresses in great roles and stories. Over the years watching her working, the characters, sentencings, and costumes were divined. And this play is The Tavern by George M. Cohan, and it will continue playing in many more decades to come.
Because, well, John and Judy new to the Playhouse. They came a year or so ago, and they've done props backstage. And Judy said to me, "Boy, I'd like to try something else, maybe like stage crew or something." And when I knew we were going to do this show, I knew the props were going to be fairly minimal. There's not much in the way of props for the show. And had another friend, Shear, who wanted to help with props, and John and Judy, and I said, "But John and Judy, I got an idea. Would you be willing to be on stage doing the live sound effects, the thunderboard and the wind machine?" And
Great job. Really great
it took
job.
a Sunday afternoon to build that thing, and it works beautifully. But yeah, that group of people who are behind the scenes that nobody gets to see are so important to any production. And I'm blessed with a really talented great group.
Really fantastic. Thank you, Denni.
You're welcome. You bet.
Good afternoon. This brings us to the wonderfully talented director, Denni Don Hunting. When first hearing she was taking the directorship of this terrific play, my first thought was, oh, how lucky those fortunate girls will be. She directs with knowledge and love for the art form theater demands. And Denni and her staff have turned it into a gem and a marvelous production at the Old Town Playhouse. This is a play, and it's called On the Verge. And it's not just for women, but for men too, because they might learn something if they see the play. I'm going to read a few words. Playwright George Bernard Shaw would have congratulated playwright Eric Overmeyer's magical and progressive, enlightening play On the Verge. That is, if he were still living. Shaw was a champion in his Victorian day for women equality rights in a world dominated by short-sighted men who eagerly choose to domestic and political power for their own advantage. He was famous for writing roles for actresses. On the Verge is a remarkable reminder that the forces that deny women of equality may be currently rumbling in our present backyard.
Mystery. In Ladakh, it was a quotidian trick for the llamas to raise their body temperature by mere mental exertion. Shear didn't will. They would sleep all night in the snowbanks. At dawn, they would douse themselves in freezing streams. Then, ice blew in on the verge of extinction. They would sit lotused and meditate ferociously. Instantly, steam would sizzle off them into clouds, rising above their furrowed brows. In an hour, their robes would be dry as toast and neatly pressed. In the blue shadow of Crystal Mountain, I watched a fawn shaman wrap himself in his black cape, fold himself thrice, begin
women who decide to go on a journey, a trek, and find out as they're going along that they're not just moving in space, they're moving in time.
Oh, what a mystery! Jewel jungle.
It'll do. Puts one in mind of the great cloud forest of the Orinoco.
Not annoying. Not annoying at all. Ladies, shall we wax the bush?
It starts in the late 1880s and ends up in 1955. And they discover as they are going along that they're finding things that they never heard of before.
Had I been wearing trousers, I would have been pierced to the core, done for. Instead, I found myself sitting on a dozen razor-sharp spikes in comparative comfort.
A good stiff petticoat is the only thing for punji sticks. Trousers in the tropics.
Oh, jungles. In the Himalayas, trousers are de rigueur. Hello?
Eric Overmeyer is a terrific writer. And he has done a thing with, starting with the Victorian language, words that I would call archaic, words that I've never heard before. I spent hours with the dictionary, as did my cast, to know what we were talking about at times.
Right.
When you hear it in context, when you see it acted out, it makes perfect sense. But if you take it from a script and you're reading the words, you go, oh my gosh, what does that one mean? You know, what does this mean? How is it used? And it's beautiful to have that kind of challenge when you're doing a play.
Around us, the silent storms of objects from the future swirl. A starlight from the new world.
Nan Worthington playing Mary.
Ladies, I don't know about you, but I am feeling a definite, a palpable yearning for the future. Oh, Mary, yes!
Alexandra Gould, who is playing Fanny.
The future looms as steady and stable as a tabletop. I anticipate we shall find a year which suits me perfectly and settle in for a long refreshment. I shall have a bath. There will be a post office. Oh, Grover, I feel as if we are on the verge of something grand.
First time actor at Old Town Playhouse, Jennifer Cummings.
One of the ecstasies of hiking in the Himalayas was to crest a ridge and suddenly confront the infinite surround. Rivers and mountains without end, untouched, glistening with possibility. We are climbing a spire of time. The topography of the future is coming into view, unmapped and unnamed, distant vistas shining. You must not shrink. You must embrace it with all your heart.
There were 3 such women. There was one, the anthropologist, the one who climbed the mountains in the Himalayas, another who did Africa. So that you hear this in their characters. He took the real lives of 3 women, Victorian women, who were explorers at that time, and then built them into this.
So these are real, these 3 women,
They're taken from real.
they're taken for real women?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mary.
Mary is middle-aged, single, self-educated, independent. Father, I think she says her father was a doctor, and she takes off to explore, to become an independent woman of the world.
And Alex.
Mm-hmm. Alex, the character, Alexandra, the character, is the youngest. And she's the one who became involved with the spiritual world of the Dalai Lama and the Eastern cultures. And she talks about that during their trek together. She ends up writing rock and roll music. And Fanny is the kind of straight-laced, formal, a little bit severe, serious again, a woman who had been to Africa and did some exploring, and so they decided to do this, 3 of them together, no Sherpas, no porters, just carry what you got and go off on this trip.
Now there's another actor, and he plays multiple
8 parts.
personalities.
Yeah.
And who is that?
Personalities. Don Kilhorn plays the 8 different parts. He plays Grover, Fanny's husband, who visits her in a dream. He plays a Yeti. He plays a troll at the bridge.
He even plays a madame, doesn't he?
He plays an Oriental Chinese woman. Plays a kid, a teenage boy at a gas station. Plays the lounge lizard Mickey at the Alphonse, the cannibal. He does a marvelous job of switching characters.
You, sir, are growing impertinent.
Oh, I love that wig. My sister has a wig like that.
Does she enjoy it?
She loves it a lot.
How do you locate your dirigible?
Follow the overgrowth! Please!
Sorry.
Take the second exit on the line and look for the Verge signs. Oh my, I think I got something wrong. I think I should not have had that last piece of tape bread. Oh boy, it's too soon and too soft. Oh boy. I'm not feeling very well. I must go. Thank you for the chow. Perhaps you'll come over and eat with me sometime. I make a nice valley strudel.
Maniac, my favorite. Have you ever had maniac fritters?
We should trade recipes sometime.
Alphonse, could you guide us to the dirigible? We'll pay wages.
I am not well. I've got to get this Alphonse out of my system. Perhaps we'll see each other again someday, my little angel. Bye, adios.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Yeah. Open my steam. Big juju.
and adds a lot of wonderful humor to the play. The play is whimsical and colorful and
Would you call it a comedy or a dramedy, or what would you
more
call
comedy,
it?
I think.
More comedy.
It's light.
It's like.
This sheds new light. Terra Incognita cannot be utterly benighted if one can get the New York Times. A Kodak of a man. Behind him an array of snow mountains. His arms are spread so. The caption reads, President Nixon, Grand Tetons, June 1972. Quote, I had trout from the lake for dinner last night. They were so good I had them again for breakfast. I haven't had anything but cereal for breakfast since 1953. End quote.
1953, 1972, printer's errors. 2 such errors in one Tiny Times article. Not credible.
Dickensian character. Looks like something off the bottom of the seabed.
I think he wanted to talk about feminism. I think he wanted to remind people that even before the 60s, there were women who marched to their own drum, who were brave enough to get up and get out and go do something wonderful and meaningful in the world, and did it fearlessly and bravely, and left journals and records and books and articles about the things that they discovered that are with us today. There were early anthropological studies, and I think he wanted to talk about that.
These must be new plays from Terra Incognita, indigenous drama. How would you characterize Private Moment?
Intense.
You aren't by any chance Mr. Coffee, are you?
I guess first of all, I'd like them to say I had a wonderful time watching that show. And walk away feeling good. Feeling like they've been entertained well.
What did you learn as a director in this show? You directed a lot of plays up to this point. Anything new?
I worked black box in this one. Or gray box, or whatever you want to call it. We are acting our way through things that the girls do not have a rope bridge, but they will walk across one for us. And they do not have a high cliff to climb, but you will see them climb one. And working with actors to get that reality to the audience is fun and challenging. It's challenging for a director and challenging for the actor. It has to be done well enough that the audience is going, oh yeah, I can feel the rope, I'm climbing with them. Oh, I hope they don't fall. You know, they have to be able to give that. And I think my actors are doing that.
Now, tomorrow's opening night.
Yes.
So, about through your rehearsal process, at what point, going backwards,
Yeah.
were you ready for a performance a week ago, 2 days ago, a week and a half ago?
We're going to be ready for a performance tomorrow night.
You're gonna be ready tomorrow night.
We were ready. I mean, we could have done. We did. Yeah,
Oh.
we did fine last night.
Yesterday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did beautifully last night. We did quite well a week ago. They got off book early. They had to. There's no way you can chop your way through a jungle with a book in your hand and a machete together.
So
they worked hard.
for all actors and directors, I think that is one of the most important things, is when a cast comes on board a play, number one responsibility, get off book.
Yeah.
It makes it easy for the director and for everybody.
Everybody in the show, absolutely.
And your cast did that.
Yeah.
Bravo.
They worked very hard at it, but they did it. And they had a lot of lines to learn and a lot of words that.
But did you know that the Nevada loony bins are full of catatonic blue-haired old ladies doing this?
Well, I can see that you are a happy director, so I feel good about what I'm going to see tomorrow night.
We had a wonderful preview at the Horizon Bookstore Saturday, and the front row was 8 young boys. I think there were 8 sitting there watching, and they were all laughing. They were all having a good time. I'm like, yes, you know, they were buying it, and the adults were buying it. So yeah, I think putting this show on a 16 by 16 foot stage, I think we did it. I'm pretty proud of it. I've got good people working with me, and those actors have been just marvelous, so that makes my job.
Good afternoon. This is a review that I wrote, and that was back in May 8, 2016. And it was about the Calendar Girls. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunity for women. Here are a few words to say about the director of the play. Director Denni Don Hunting has created a fabulous orchestration of fluid, emotional beauty among her highly talented women and men in this heart-wrenching and continuously amusing masterpiece of Tim Firth. Hunting has threaded the brilliant dialogue, connected soundly to its balanced measures of emotion throughout every scene, and every actor is realistically grounded. The genius of the Kesselring girls is a seamless bond of love between these 6 glorious women. I found myself being transported into Balboa Park once again, with its charmingly gorgeous forest of trees and white stone tables and benches where my Icelandic grandmother Laura and her chorus of bridge-card elder ladies shared lunch prepared for a king, and their musical peaches of entitled chatter reaching out to my 8 years old ears. Never before or thereafter I have ever enjoyed that kind of joyous assembly of jolly ladies bonded in one until watching the Old Town Playhouse's production of the Calendar Girls.
It's a story about a group of friends, women friends. One of them has a husband who is dying of cancer. And when he passes away, they want to do something to honor him, and that honor will be to buy a new settee for the relatives' room at the hospital, because the one that's there has it's old, and when you sit on it, evidently it pokes you in the bum. So they decide to buy a new settee. The Women's Institute, which is a social club they all belong to, famous for their cooking and knitting and craft skills, they know they're not going to make enough money through those things for the calendar this year, which was going to be bridges of the area. So they do a little research and find out that that flesh sells, and they decide to make a partially new calendar, and the calendar takes off big time, and they make enough money to not only buy top drawer settee for the hospital, but to donate a considerable amount of money to the hospital. It's a true story, which makes it just, I think, delightful, just wonderful. Women's Institute began in England around 1915, when the First World War was taking men away from home and farmers out of their fields, and so the women took over and tried to grow things and fix things and make things to help the neighborhood. It's a rural, generally, group. During the Second World War, they were able to relocate people during the bombing in London, bring people into the country, put families in homes where they would be safe during that awful time in England. And to this day, the Women's Institute is thriving in England and in Europe, focusing far more on women's education and skill building that they can use in the workplace. They did some of that early on, but today there's more of that. And yet they still do the craft and raising flowers and growing things and knitting. But these gals, because of that, were friends. And John, the fellow that died, had left a little legacy for his wife and her friends. He gave them sunflowers to plant on the hill outside of town. He was a park ranger, and he loved the area. He spent 30 years working in the area. So they took the sunflower seeds and planted them because John said it was one of his favorite flowers, even though it wasn't indigenous to England. But what was his quote? The flowers of Yorkshire are like the women of Yorkshire, and the last phase is the most glorious. So all these gals are over 30, middle-aged and up, and they risked. They risked people disliking what they were doing by making this calendar, but instead it turned around to be just a wonderful thing. That made 4. The reality is, I believe they made 4 calendars. And I think I read somewhere there's still one of the major cancer charity donors to this day in England. So it's a lovely story. It's a lovely story. Bring me my spear, O clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. We are supposed to sing this song, but I'm the only one who is.
Put a sock in it. You're ruining the atmosphere of Eastern mysticism. And now, ladies, moving to Tai Chi position number 1. The Tibetan archer. Moving to Tai Chi position number 2. The Tibetan yak. Moving into Tai Chi position number 3. The Tibetan yak being milked by the Tibetan archer.
I was looking for, first of all, people who were courageous enough to take their bras off. And I said that at the very beginning, that this is what you're going to be doing. If you are not comfortable with that concept or that happening, then don't audition. Thank you, but don't. If you feel you can do this, then yes. That in itself is a spark of courage that I wanted to see in each one of these women. Every one of them in the story has lived through something, survived something in her life that's built a little courage and strength in them. And I kind of wanted to see that in people that audition who can bring me that either as an actress or as a human being and let that flow out of them as an actress. And I think I did a good job, because when I watched them on stage, they looked so real to me. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced, but I think they bring that reality, the gals that I cast, bring that reality to the story.
Can we just congratulate Cora? Oh, yes. Tonight's decoy was carried out by Lance Corporal Gleam of the Royal Musical Corps. I thank you. Well done, Cora! Well done, Cora! Oh, Lord, here's Cora. One more time! I got the keys by convincing Marie. We were starting the first ever Nately WI Choral Society.
I don't think we faced any difficulty difficulties in the show. We had fun at every single rehearsal. People came in with smiles on their faces, ready to go to work. They got off book early so that they could begin to interact and begin to use whatever props we had. We had a couple of closed rehearsals where we started with wear your jeans, bring a robe and a towel, and you're going to take your top off and you're going to walk around the stage in your jeans wearing a towel around the top and do some talking and do some lines and see how that feels, and kind of baby steps toward the reveal. But no, it was a joyful process. I can't, people brought cookies, I brought candy every night, but mostly they brought energy, and they brought smiles, and they brought a love for the story. I think everybody in the cast really likes the story.
At first glance, the photos should look like your classic WIP. Cakes and jams and so on and that. Everything you'd expect, except for one tiny thing. The person doing it is naked.
You! You're right. John would have loved this.
See, sweet Swansea, you get a different girl. Painting, knitting, gardening here, see? Until December, when I thought we'd do a group one of you all together singing Christmas carols.
Oh, Lawrence, that is just, we love it. We absolutely,
Except for one small problem. He's a bloke.
Friendship and love. Friendship between lady friends, girlfriends, love for their husbands. There's so much caring among these gals that, if I had to use one word to describe the play, I'd say love. And I think that is symbolized by the sunflower. So I'll let it go at that.
have we stuffed the goose? Yes! Are our ding-dongs merrily on high? Yes! Then I think it's time. Off!
Three!
Off!
Two!
Green and pleasant,
There's such marvelous reality in the story that the audience identifies with everybody in the cast, I think. Maybe not Lady Craigenshire that often in America, but every single character. And as they watch the play, the audience finds part of themselves in that story. And I've seen tears and laughter, and I've seen people hoot and holler and cheer for different characters in different situations on stage, and a total silence when people have talked about the cancer. The letter reading scene is very, very touching. We couldn't have the letters floating down from the ceiling, which is what was written into the script. But I used a table where they're close together and sitting and standing around the table in a basket full of letters, and they get to just share pieces. And I like that because they were close together. So yes, enjoy this play because it's a good one. It's a real good story.
Our Majesty's prison for living, and was mightily impressed by the sheer size of your own.
I just talked about the letter reading scene, which is one of my favorite moments. Ruth, her character is so darling. Her getting up the courage to come and be a part of the calendar is a great moment. Her facing off with her husband's girlfriend is another terrific moment. Jessie talking about what age is to her. Rod, Chris's husband, trying to balance what his wife wants and what they need because he's got a business going on, and the love that he has and the stress that goes with how can he make that balance work. I love the hearing Jerusalem. I wasn't aware of that song until I started working on the show. And I did some research and found out it's a William Blake poem that was put to music and was played for the king back in the early 1900s, and the king wept. He said it's more beautiful than God Save the King. It should be the second national anthem. And it is a beautiful song. It's because my travels, the little travels I did in England, I know there's a story about Joseph of Arimathea bringing the baby Jesus, or young Jesus, to England, and that's mentioned in the song. So the beginning where we have Cora singing that is a favorite moment. There's so many favorite moments. I know that's not correct to have a lot of favorites, but I do. I have a lot of favorites just that I wait to see and I go, oh yeah, yes, they did it again. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
The flowers of Yorkshire are like the women of Yorkshire. Every stage in their growth has its own beauty. But the last phase is always the most glorious. Then very quickly, they all go to seed, which makes it
me with my top off kind of photo shoot, jilted. I thought about it. I thought, gosh, they are actually having so much fun up there doing that. I would like to sneak in and try it myself. And I thought about what I do, and they mentioned one about painting, and because I've done a lot of painting in my life, I thought, that maybe, we're not even doing that one, I could do that one. Sure, I don't know if I felt jilted, but I felt like it would be fun to do. It would be fun to do.
Yes. Sorry about the flower arranging pose, Chris. Want to put money on who makes the front cover?
Yeah, it's a shame. Backdrop? I had to make do with some poses.
One of the things that I tried, and evidently it worked, I tried to focus on early on with my cast, was to find the humor in the reality and no caricaturing of the characters, to keep them real and honest, to keep them honest. In honesty, there is humor. You don't have to make it happen. You don't have to slip on a banana peel. This show has some wonderfully funny moments in it that help make it joyful. But that's what I would share. Keep it honest, keep it real. Don't let it go overboard one way or another. You can keep it on that plane. You're right there with it. It's a good show.
Good morning. I can only assess that the joy so many people relished while watching a play where Abby and Martha Brewster helped forlorn men into dying. It must have somehow diluted the idea to so many men and women dying during World War II. Every day in the newspapers and listening over the radio of the tragic events in battle. It must have motivated people to find a reason to laugh in the eyes of death when laughing hysterically, watching Mortimer Brewster trying to come to understand the reasons of his two spinster aunts killing forlorn men and burying them in their basement.
Yes, dear, it's all arranged. Dr. Harper was here today and brought papers for Teddy to sign. Here they are. It has a distinct odor. Yes. As a matter of fact, one of our gentlemen found time to say how delicious.
It's you.
Don't be cross. Father can see I was excited, so I told him about us, and it made it hard for me to get away.
Well, every day or two.
Oh, but we're going to the theater.
No, dear, we're not.
Oh, why not?
Elaine, something's come up.
15 minutes ago, you proposed to me.
I did? Oh, yes, of course. As far as I know, that's still on.
Listen, you can't propose to me 1 minute and then throw me out of the house.
Throw you out of the house, darling. No, you get out of here!
No, I will not get out of here. Not some kind of explanation.
Hello.
Try to be masterful.
We're married, and I have problems to face. I hope you are as tedious and uninspired.
When we're married, if we're married, I hope to find you adequate. Oh, take your hands off of me.
Needles under your fingernails.
If your brother tries to strangle me, you want to chase me home. Listen, Mr. Brewster, before I go home, I want to know where I stand.
I think you need to hear it.
Well, I was just sitting there, putting on her makeup, and suddenly, in through the door walks a man.
Here it is.
Good morning. This is a play, and it's called Outside Mullingar by John Patrick Shanley, directed by Denni Don Hunting. And here is a few words that I will read. When I was a very young lad, when visiting my grandmother's house at Mission Bay, San Diego, California, my ears would always perk alert from the two voices coming from the kitchen. My great-grandmother, Myrtle Glass, and her daughter would be sitting across from each other, exchanging a spirited conversation that sounded like music to my ears. They both shared the same blood from the lyrical and witty heritages of Ireland. I would sit nearby listening to their fusty, clattering arguments that weren't hateful, but vigorously, with a cackle and a laughing roar, and with their satisfied conclusion that was never resolved. They would turn and embrace me and ask me if I was hungry. The words they spoke were no other. They were lively and cutting, then soothing, with saddened, reminiscing, but never boring. One of my favorite playwrights of all time is George Bernard Shaw, one of the most prolific writers of drama, comedy, to set foot on this great green Irish earth. Did I just say green Irish earth? Yes, I guess I did. But there is a reason for it, because Mr. Shaw was born on July 26, 1856, and spent his early days living in Dublin, Ireland. An Irish lad he was. Getting back to my great-grandmother, Myrtle Glass, she was truly the major shining influence in my Uncle Victor Bono's acting career. It was she, with her marvelous diction and wit and lyrical tone of voice, that inspired him into becoming the Oscar-nominated Best Supporting Actor in 1962 in the motion picture of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. So you see, the Irish were known for their luck, and my Uncle Victor Bono benefited by it. Who knows? Perhaps in watching this marvelous production, you too will benefit a little, or a lot, from the Irish luck that may sprinkle upon you. That is, if you're sitting in the first row. After all, there are exceptions even for leprechauns. You know.
The strip of 40 meters like a blockade in the middle of my driveway, keeping my house from the road.
You have only to open the gate.
And close it, and open a second gate, and close that as well.
Are you that lazy?
Have you ever gotten out of my car in the rain and drowned yourself working those damn gates? And all over a catch of nothing.
It rains on us all.
I'll give you a fair price for it.
Did you broach this with Chrissy?
I did, and never had he a word in reply. But he's passed over now.
Just.
He was a good man, but stubborn.
He was a bulldog. That man would fight the sky.
He did, and the sky won.
Oh, in truth it did. He's gone to God.
It's mine.
It is not.
It should be. Can you deny it?
I do deny it.
The one reason you own that bit of land is hate and spite.
That's 2 reasons.
Hate and spite and the love of the upper hand.
What kind of twist is that on the truth? You were down on your luck, and Chris took pity.
There was no pity in it. All I needed was a loan for £200, and for that, he took my right away.
You sold it to him.
It was a loan.
It was not. I have a bill of sale.
I was back to him in 6 months with the money.
He didn't need the money.
He didn't need that strip of land, but he held on to it for 30 years.
Yes, he did.
Why did he? Why?
Maybe there was no way.
No. Something went unsaid.
The situation does you no real harm.
It does you no good.
Leave it. Why go into it now?
Because my time is almost done.
Tut, tut.
And I need to pass the farm down as it was given me.
To an American.
Here's an Irish passport.
He's no Irishman.
Not like that at the ballet. Guess I never knew him.
To watch him walk was to know there was grace in the world. He had the blood of kings in him.
Kept his counsel like a king. No one knew what he was thinking.
I did. He wasn't much of a talker, but he had his reasons, as do I.
Tell me this then, if you know, why did he buy our right away?
Because your dog came begging.
You'd like to think so. My man wanted a loan, that's all. There was no hat in hand.
Bloody hell, his hand was out.
Would you stand there and lord it over us?
Would you stand there and bite the hand? Have you never heard of gratitude?
I'll tell you what I've never heard of. I've never heard a decent speech by you or yours on the subject of your family shortcomings.
Shortcomings? What shortcomings?
Are you blind as well? Sure, I can name it if you'd like. The Muldoon's larceny.
The Muldoon's what? I adapt?
Should keep you awake at night what your people have done.
What we've done? What have we done? You should thank Christ for a good neighbour.
Bollocks to that. You've had us by the throat for 30 years with your land grabbing, and why? What did your da want with our right away?
For me! For me, you idiot boy! You pushed me down, that's why. You shoved me down and left me crying in the yellow grass. And I would have mine back, I would, and run to my dock. So now you have 2 gates between you and what's yours. And I hope you like it, because there's none to blame but yourself.
Don't mean it.
I do.
Jesus, Mary, it was you behind that.
You shoved me like it was nothing.
I don't even remember the day.
Well, I remember it. I own that parcel, and you do not.
You mean your mom?
No, me. And I'll never sell it.
Why not?
Because my voice says no.
Fine.
Anthony Riley and I were born on 2 farms, side by side, and we will die side by side. And no old fool trying to show his power at sunset will bungle that.
Rosemary, you have secrets of your own, and once they're out, they're out.
Have no secrets. I buried my dear father today. You'll lose no more.
Are you in love with Anthony?
More than love.
Don't be.
I don't care beyond one thing, that man and his farm and my farm be hard by.
Rose.
Look at me and take pity. You'll leave me soon.
Sure, it's true. I can't deny it.
I feel that grief no more than today.
Rosemary.
He'll never marry.
But neither will I. And he will be in his house, and I will be in mine. Here's your tea.
There's much of your father in you.
I'm proud to know it.
Two bulldogs.
No, I'm a swan.
I will not let this farm die with Anthony.
You will not do this. You will not do that. So what will you do?
He means to sell it to his brother's son.
In America?
He'll come and take over.
And go through the 2 gates?
He wants the road.
And I'm here to tell you, he will never get it.
You will not tell me how to dispose of my property.
And you'll have no sway over mine. Drink your tea.
Don't order me in my own house.
No one owns a house.
I own mine.
It was handed to you.
I gave my life to it.
And Anthony his.
Anthony's not a rally.
Is that what you're about? Your name?
He takes after his mother's father, John Kelly.
He does in the face.
And in the head. John Kelly put his dog on trial for slander.
When was that? 100 years ago?
Less than 70.
You're the one who's daft.
Say what you want. Blood will tell.
I think it's talking right now a lot of bloody nonsense.
Anthony doesn't love the farm.
What's that hold of you isn't love, old man?
Who do you think you are?
It's pride.
I want to buy her half the time, without so much as a nod. She bore me children, Trish and Audrey. Did you? And I felt nothing. Till one day, something gave way. Out in the fields and the wet grass, the quiet hand of God touched me so soft I thought it was a breeze. Something came to save me, son. And it'll come for you too. I drive out with the feed in the morning, split open the bag into the trough, and the cattle would walk forward. I can't name the day. The cattle were there. The rain let up, and the sun shone. The sun shone on me. And I started in singing, just like that. That old song, Mam's song, Wild Mountain Time. Do you know it?
Sure I do.
And we'll all go together to pull Wild Mountain Time. And the sun shone on me. And I started in laughing, as I saw me singing. And I'd never been that mad. Never. Singing in the fields. All the days are alike on a farm. And yet of a sudden, the drudgery I had known since birth lifted off me. And a joy came up into me. Out of the land. Out of all of it. The cattle and the sky. And when I went home to the house, a moment came there too, where all of it, you, her, the girls, even the house itself came to life in me. But it started out there in the fields that had been lonely. And I knew it was her.
Me life is here. We name it. Be bold for me.
I told Adam about you.
Well, tell him to go to hell to Amsterdam.
Would you leave off Amsterdam?
Tell him I'm yours.
You're not.
Make me yours.
But I'm mad as a Kelly.
I don't care.
I fly around in my mind like a tiny thing.
Look at me. Look how I look at you. I have no skin so tender I am to you.
And I am a virgin.
We'll solve that. I'm mad too, you know.
Are you mad?
You'll find out. When it's too late.
Jesus, all those years wasted.
Who knows the way things should be? There's beauty in this.
Will you take down the gates, no?
Never.
The voice I heard in the fields. It didn't say go, not just that. It said go to her.
Look. The sky.
Good afternoon. The play, Dirty Blonde, was by Claudia Shear, and it was first played on Off-Broadway, and then it reached up on Broadway in the year of 2000. And at my home growing up in San Diego, California, it played in the Old Globe Theater in July 2003. I just love the face and sass of Mae West. And most men would be wimps if they ever tried to make a fight with Mae West.